A variety of creatures that are unique to the plot of The Rings of Power are seen in the trailer for The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power Season 2, albeit they may not be entirely new to J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings universe. One of the best aspects of Tolkien's universe are the magical animals. Two notable examples are the winged monsters of the Nazgul and Shadowfax, the Lord of Horses. These animals may be found in Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings novels, together with wargs, orcs, and the Watcher in the Water. These, along with the Hobbit and the appendices, are rights to adaptation in the Rings of Power. However, Tolkien's other writings include descriptions of a great deal of monsters. In fact, some of the creatures in the Rings of Power Season 2 may be based on them. The Second Age of Tolkien, which is mostly covered in the Silmarillion, is the subject of the Rings of Power. Unlike Warner Brothers, which oversaw the previous and impending The Lord of the Rings films, showrunners have a connection with the Tolkien estate, despite their never having acknowledged that they have been granted special rights to adapt this. Through exclusive rights or by avoiding important names, the program may bring back characters from the Second Age. The protagonists in Rings of Power Season 2 will encounter a monster, or maybe more than one that may be a reference to or an adaptation of Ungoliant, one of Tolkien's greatest antagonists. The second teaser for Rings of Power features a sea monster, a dark, writhing form erupting from rocks, creepy tentacles that resemble the witches from Season 1, and flying insects. Some of them seem familiar, such the cloak of darkness she wove, and the unlight of Ungoliant, while others could be whole new creations by the Rings of Power. Ungoliant assumed the shape of a massive spider and collaborated with Morgoth, the first antagonist in Tolkien's universe, who was the one to corrupt Sauron long before there were any elves or men. Despite being set in the First Age, Ungoliant's legacy and impact may still be seen in Middle-earth, most notably via Shelob in The Lord of the Rings. The shadowy, oozing figure in the teaser may symbolize the dark nets of strangling gloom that Ungoliant or her ancestors created, or the evil that seeps into roots in the same way as it did into leaves in Season 1. In any case, Tolkien's picture of primordial evil is well captured by this depiction. The two trees of Valinor that provided light and illuminated Valinor were felled by Ungoliant and Morgoth together. The Silmarillion claims that while she was never fully under Morgoth's influence, some said that, in the beginning she was one of those that he corrupted to his service. This suggests that, like Sauron, she was probably an Aenir Maya, similar to Morgoth, but not quite as strong and with the ability to change her shape. Even though Ungoliant and Morgoth used terrible efficiency to complete their aim of killing the trees, their love did not end happily. In exchange for Ungoliant's assistance in destroying the trees, Morgoth falsely promised her anything, but as she devoured the trees, her strength increased to the point that even Morgoth became terrified. After a fight between Ungoliant and Morgoth about her recompense for the work, she left and started having children with other spider-like creatures. In a poetic sense, some have said that she ended long ago, when in her uttermost famine she devoured herself at last. Nevertheless, no tale tells of the fate of Ungoliant. Who knows where she ended up after she went whither she would. The Rings of Power Season 2 seems to delve into the strange monsters that J.R.R. Tolkien included into his universe. While on-screen information notes that the Great Sea divides the Undying Lands from Middle-earth, where there are still nameless things in the deepest places of the world, a shipwreck survivor refers to the sea monster in the Rings of Power Season 1 as a worm. This is reminiscent of Gandalf's statement from the Two Towers, "The world is gnawed by nameless things far, below the deepest delving of the dwarves. Not even Sauron is aware of them. They outlive him in age." A nameless thing, or an allusion to the Watcher in the Water from the Fellowship of the Ring, might potentially be the sea monster from Season 2. It may also be one of the many evil things that Morgoth had devised in the days of his dominion. Demons, dragons, and misshapen beasts, similar to the other horrors in the movie. When paired with another passage from the Silmarillion that speaks of Sauron during the Second Age, he gathered under his government all the evil things of the days of Morgoth that remained on Earth. This passage becomes even more pertinent. The teaser features moths or butterflies that mimic the creatures that the stranger banishes the Sauron-worshipping witches of Season 1 and 2. Showrunners hinted that these witches may return in an interview with Vanity Fair. It's unclear whether these menacing insects stand in for the witches or other members of their gang, but they undoubtedly contribute to how The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power Season 2 develops its depiction of evil by using references from Tolkien's Legendarium.